Hey there YouTube, it's me TFUK Wellness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to end of month bot haul. It's that time of month where I show you all the Transformer related items I picked up throughout the month. And to be honest, this month's haul is somewhat meagre by my opinion. It's not quite as good as I was hoping it would be. I'm a little... I don't know how to put it. I mean, it's a little disappointing because I've got a good haul of comics this month, but it's the bots that I got. I've only got like 8 figures, and 2 of those aren't actual robots per se. So yeah, I haven't really got much to show for my purchasing this month, and there's a bit of really good reason for this, which I will get into right now. So, before I actually show you the items that I got this month, there's something else that happened at the beginning of the month that I want to go over. And that is on May the 2nd, the pre-order for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Titan Class Nemesis dropped on Hasbro Pulse and certain retailers, because I got a notification from Hasbro Pulse to say that it was up for pre-order. And... they revealed it in a live stream, was it last month? And when I saw it, I thought, yeah, I want to get in on that. I want to get that. I've got most of the last couple of Titan figures. I didn't get the Cybertron Metroplex because I wasn't really feeling it, even though I do love the Cybertron toy line. But I wasn't really feeling that, but I didn't go for it. But I've got Fort Max, I've got Omega Supreme, I've got Con, I've got the Ark. I've got quite a few Titans, and I like to get the Titan class every year if at all possible. And so obviously the new one had been announced. I like the look of it, and I thought, well, then get the notification from Hasbro Pulse it's up for pre-order, and I went on the website, and before I actually saw the price, I thought, well, I wonder how much it's going to be going for, because knowing the pricing strategy that Hasbro have got in recent times, where they're pushing the prices of everything up, I thought, how much are they going to be asking for the Titan class this year? I mean, it's going to be more than 200 quid. It's got to be. And sure enough, went on to Hasbro Pulse, and it has got 219.99 on it. And it was like, no, I'm not prepared to do that. The reason being is because I kind of have this stigma of buying over 200 quid for or buying up to and over 200 quid for bots. I don't like doing it, to be honest, because I think 200 quid is my upper echelons of sort of what would you say, the finances that I'm prepared to shell out for an individual bot. I have gone over it. I mean, last year at TF Nation, I bought that movie masterpiece Blackout off IndieMan for 210 quid. And and a couple of weeks later, I noticed on the IndieMan website that they dropped the price to 169.99, and now you can buy that figure from retailers like Capel for under 100 quid. So yeah, I'm a little bit salty about that, but that's by the by. So this Titan class Nemesis, I wasn't willing to pay the asking price that they're doing on Hasbro Pulse, but I thought, well, I wonder if any of the other retailers have got it up for pre-order for a bit less. And I did a little bit of shopping around, and sure enough, in demand, £199.99, so just shy of 200 quid. And I thought, that's near enough. And when I went into my account, it turned out I had a few ID points left over from my previous sort of pre-order with them, which was for the Studio Series 86 Snarl. So I had some money left over from that. Well, some ID points, those points that you get from making purchases on, in demand, which you can redeem against future purchases. But then you give you a pittance like they usually do with these loyalty sort of schemes that these companies do. But anyway, so I went to buy it, but obviously, going into buying a big figure like that's like 200 quid, I didn't really want to pay out the full whack up front as a pre-order. So I thought, well, what are my options? One of the options is in demand do that 10% deposit, pre-order deposit thing, where I could have done a £20 pre-order deposit on it and then couple of months down the line when the figure comes out, I'll get an email from IndieMan saying, oh, you need to pay this £180 balance payment for this thing you ordered months ago, you know. And it's like, yeah, I'm really not keen on having that happen, because I've had that happen before, where, you know, it drops out of the blue, you know, a pre-order deposit balance payment for something you pre-ordered like many moons ago, and it can kind of mess up your finances a bit. Well, it certainly messes up my finances, because I like to set myself a budget every month, and I like to try and stick to it if I can at all costs, but sometimes it's not always possible, but for the most part I try to stick within my budget. So anyway, I wasn't going to do the 10% pre-order deposit. Instead, I decided to, well, when I went to pay for it, I saw that PayPal was doing this pay-in-free option, whereby you select the pay-in-free option, you make the payment, then PayPal pays the full amount on your behalf, you know, up front, and then you pay PayPal back free, equal, no interest payments over the preceding 3 months. At least I think that's the way it does it. But you've got to make these payments manually. They send you plenty of reminders saying, oh, you've got to make this payment on such and such a date. But you've got to make the payment yourself. You've got to do the payments manually. So I did the first payment on May the 2nd, and it was for just over 66 quid. And that, obviously, that 66 quid was then a lump of cash that was taken out of my budget for this month. And as a result of that, it had a knock-on effect with what I was able to buy throughout the rest of the month. Because I was trying to save 200 quid to go to the TFUK Con at Birmingham on the 13th of May. So I had that in mind when I placed this pre-order. But yeah, I placed it. I did a PayPal 3-in-1 payment on it, and the first payment was made. And so now I've got this thing for the next 2 months, for June and July, where I'm going to be at a somewhat financial handicap, so to speak, whereby I'm going to have to set aside this £66 out of each of my monthly budgets for June and July to pay off this outstanding balance on this figure that I've pre-ordered. So that's going to be a bit of a thing to work around for the next 2 months. It's going to make collecting for me over the next 2 months somewhat challenging, because I'm going to have to watch what I spend in order to to get in under budget, so to speak. But anyway, that happened, and I just wanted to put that up at the front of the video. Right, next, first purchase to arrive on the 10th was some comic lots. Yes, I'm continuing my how can I put this, my challenge, so to speak, or continuing my quest to buy back or get replacements for the Marvel G1 comics that I had as a kid from issue 1 to 199. I started this process at TF Nation last year, and I've been buying bunches of comics every month ever since, and I've been doing extremely well, and I'm getting close to the end game now, because I've only got about well, not including these comics I got this particular month, I've got about 20 odd comics left to do, but most of them are those comics in the 10s and the 20 series, and but I have been concentrating on getting the remaining 100 series issue comics that I haven't got, and I've been buying them from my usual Susanna Carter, the eBay seller on eBay, who has been selling these comics in individually or in job lots, and so I managed to get a bunch of comics. Now, to start off with, I managed to get number 30, number 33, number 38, and number 39. Now, that doesn't quite complete the 130 series. I was still missing issue 134. And Susanna Carter didn't have that issue, but later on in the month I found someone else who did have it, and I was able to pick it up later in the month, and you'll see it a bit later. But anyway, so I managed to pick them up. And on the next lot, so we've got 141, 144, 145, and 147. Now these do complete the 140 series. So I've got all the comics for the 140 series now. So that was quite good. 8 comics. Can't remember how much I paid for them off the top of my head. My book's down there that's got the figures in it, but there's no point to talking about that. So yeah, they arrived on the 10th. So that was one lot of comics, including a bunch of comics that I needed that I was after. So that was all good. Right, then the next thing to arrive on the 11th was my first Korean figure. Now, done a review on it, done an unboxing on it. Yeah, this figure is a new character from a new toy line or cartoon show from Korea called Metal Cardbot. And it's from the makers of Mini Force and Battle Watch Car. And basically, it's the usual thing. You got this kid. You got these robots, that appear in the town, and then this kid, happens to get the watch, and then he manages to it's kind of like a cross between Pokemon and Transformers, I suppose. It's kind of like that, and he captures these with this watch thing, and then you get these cards, and you can put the card in, and then you can select the bot, and then you can get it to do certain attacks and stuff. Anyway, so I was looking at this toy line, and a couple of the episodes are on YouTube that you can go and watch, and it's quite a good show. It's quite good. I like what I see in it, and they have like the first wave of figures, and I was looking at them and thinking they look all right. Now, I didn't do my research into the size of these things, and when I looked online to get them, I noticed there were some eBay sellers doing them for what appeared to be half decent prices, but you've got to bear in mind that I was buying these on the pretense that they were like figures this sort of size, like leader class size. I suspected they might be slightly smaller, but I went ahead and bought it. I bought the main character from the show, Blue Cop, and he arrived on the 11th. And there he is. Now, straight away, yeah. He's small. He's very small. He's about the size of a Voyager figure. And I paid nearly 60 quid for this, which is like... It's the sort of money I usually pay for figures this sort of size. But I was paying it for something this size. And it kind of disappointed me in that respect, because he's so small and he was kind of pricey as a result. I have since noticed that I can potentially buy these figures off G-Market for around about sort of 45, 50 quid instead of like 55, 60. So I can get them slightly cheaper. Apart from the size and the cost, that was, in my opinion, a small size and the excessive cost that I bought for this thing, it's not a bad figure. The robot mode looks nice and colourful. It's well made. It's got clicky joints, limited articulation. They have this gimmick with these card things, these sort of weapons, which come on. They fold up into a slab, and then you sort of fold them up. And then they plug onto the character, usually onto the arm or something, and you can do various attacks with it in the show, like rocket punches and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's a decent figure, but like I said, the size of it and the cost of it was somewhat disappointing to me, and I am prepared to get more figures from the line now that I know what I'm dealing with, and I'm going to try to get them slightly cheaper than what I paid for this guy, and I should be able to do that. But buying the figure off eBay was a mistake. I should have bought it off the usual places, off G-Market, because eBay's just full of scalpers these days, and I thought I was getting a good deal buying this for like just under for about 57 quid, but when I actually arrived, it wasn't as big or as impressive as I was expecting it to be. So yeah, it's a shame about that, but yeah, I got him. He arrived on the 11th, so that's Metal Cardbot Blue Cop. Then moving forwards, we've got the TFUK convention. Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words about it before I actually get into the haul from the convention. There was in the that hotel in Birmingham. But yeah, I got my wristband. There you go. TFUK Con, 13th of May 2023. So I got my wristband, and yeah, so I went in there. It was in a smallish room. There was like a screen at one end, a load of chairs in the middle, a few tables. There's a few retailers there, but it wasn't exactly full of retailers. There was Rohans corner in the corner. You had in the middle where the control stand was, the Primetime Toys guys had a box with some stuff they were selling. But of course, this event was run by Primetime Toys. Ben's Collectables had a table in the way he was selling off a bunch of his figures before he emigrates to Canada. Lucan's Tees was there with a few selling a few t-shirts, and there was another guy, a couple of guys across the back that were selling a few bits and bobs. So yeah, it was good. I met a few people. Hot Rodney Prime was there. Jermaine was there. Obviously Ben Collectables was there. They had a few guest comic artists. They had Andrew Wildman and Simon Furman were there, and yeah, it was a decent little convention. I enjoyed myself, obviously because everything was in the one room. When they had a convention, you just sat down at the table and just watched what was going on. But yeah, I bought a few bits, and it was all right. It was okay. It's good to have another small, local convention aside from the big national one at TF Nation. I mean, obviously, I went to the TF Nation Minicon in Manchester last month, and this month, we had the TFUK Con. So yeah, that was a thing that I did this month. And what did I get? Right, so now I took 200 quid to the TFUK Con. It was money I wanted to put aside to it. That's why when I pre-ordered that Nemesis at the beginning, Legacy Evolution Titan Class Nemesis at the beginning of the month, I didn't want to shell out the full amount up front for it, because I wouldn't have had any money to take to the TFUK convention. But I went there, and going round, went to Rohan's corner. The guy in the corner had a table with some stuff on it, and I was having a mooch around. He had a variety of stuff on there, and I spied something, and I thought, ooh, that's nice. And I actually sort of sat and transformed it from one mode to the other, and I thought, this is really great. Then I asked him the price, and he said it was 45 quid, and I thought, that's a lot of money for something that small. So I put it down and I walked away. Then I walked around and looked at some of the other stuff on the other stalls, and I came back to him. And what I bought off him was this. Yeah, there it is. Justitoys, World's Smallest Transformer, or WST, Shockwave, or as he's called, what's his proper name? Military Operations Commander. So it's got the instructions book, and obviously it's basically a scaled down version of the G1 toy, and I've got the gun barrel as well. Now, this thing, as you can see, is very small. It's very, very fiddly. And when I decided I wanted to buy it and went to pay for it, he was hunting around in his box of storage under the table for the instructions. I was trying to transform it back to the robot mode from the gun mode. And I have a small confession to make. In trying to transform it back, I snapped one of the legs off, or I snapped the leg off at the knee. Because the sliding joint that goes across on the hips or the waist, super tight on this thing, and it's so tiny, and I was wiggling it, and then the leg just snapped off. Fortunately, the bloke didn't see me break it, and I was like massively sheepish about it, so I sort of shoved it back together and agreed to buy at his asking price, which was 45 quid for something this small. It's a lot of money. I had looked online to see how much this thing goes for otherwise, and there's a few people on eBay that were selling it with the box, but they were asking like 60, 70, 100 plus quid for it, and it's like, yeah, getting a loose one for 45 quid isn't so bad. But like I said, I broke it. I snapped one of the knee joints. So when I got home, I tried to fix it, and it was a real struggle. I've sort of fixed it. I've had to glue one of the knees solid, you know, in order to. It still slides up and down, but he can't bend his right knee now because it just kept snapping, just kept breaking. But it's basically it's the G1 toy just scaled down. It's really, really tiny, and he forms the gun mode, and you know you've got the instructions. 45 quid though, and the fact that I broke it as well. Oh, I didn't feel very good about that. But you know, as I broke it, I decided to buy it. So you know, because you know, it wouldn't be fair to just put it down and walk away, and then the bloke, you know, somebody else tried to buy it and said, "Oh, the leg's broken." You know, he's like, "Yeah, he would have known I'd have done it." So I didn't come clean to the guy and said I broke it, but you know, I bought it, you know, because you know what they say about broken goods. You broke it, you bought it, you know, and it's so I decided to buy it at its full price. Would have liked to have got it for about 20 odd quid, but you know, it is what it is. It's quite a rare thing. It's the first time I've ever seen one of these. But yeah, I managed to get hold of that. I mean, you can see the legs are a bit wonky on it. They're just not great. But yeah, so I got a hold of that. That was the first thing I bought at the TFUK Con. Then next, obviously, I watched a couple of panels, and then the guy that was sat in the control point in the middle with the guys from was it Greg from Primetime Toys? He had a big cardboard box, and he had a few bits he was selling out of that, including those that new Masterpiece-esque Blitzwing that's come out. There was a few of them for sale in the room, and some people were buying them, and that looked pretty impressive. But he had a couple of other things in the box, so I had a root through, and I saw a few things, so I decided to buy them. First of which was this thing. Now, basically what this is, it's kind of a fourth-party version of the Transformers Prime First Edition Cliffjumper. Now, there's a few companies that have done this. I don't know who this company is because there's no branding on this thing at all. It's just got the character and the name Red Gladiator. But I think it's based on the APC Toys. What is it? APC Toys Red. Well, whatever they called it. Well, Red Gladiator. So there's the box, and here's the figure. I have got the Prime RID version of Cliffjumper, and I'm not a fan of that mould. I'm really not. The arms, he's got like big old monkey arms on him, and he looks stupid. This one's better, a lot better. It's got a few loose, you know, sort of wibbly sort of joints, especially on the legs. When I first transformed this, I had a bit of a mission with it because I wasn't using instructions, and it was a bit of a, I won't say a mare to get it into its alt mode, because it's kind of a shell former. But when I transformed it the second time using instructions, it was a lot more fluid and a lot better because I was doing it in the right order. But it's an okay figure. I'm not overly sort of happy with it because, like I said, because you know what they say about first impressions. My first impression with this mold, messing with this mold, wasn't great, and it's improved. My opinion of it has gone up a little bit since then. But yeah, he's okay. Did come with the some little figurines of the Transformers Prime kids. You know, so you got Raph, you got Jack, and you got Miko. So they're a bit oversized or a bit overscaled for the car mode, but it come with them little figurines as well. So that was that. And then also from Greg at Primetime Toys, Newage Medic. So it's the Newage Ratchet. Now at the TF Con Minicon the other month, I got hold of the Magic Square Ryu, which is the Magic Square Legend Scale Ratchet, and now I've got the New Age one. I wanted to get it for comparison's sake, you know, because, you know, there wasn't much else at this convention that was really piquing my interest to buy, and this guy had it, and I looked at the price and says, yeah, that's near enough. You do get a butt ton of accessories with this guy. Transformation's pretty good, you know, it's fairly intuitive and works really well. Looks good in robot mode. It's beautifully painted, comes with, like I said, a lot of accessories. But I have to be honest, I prefer the Magic Square version. His alt mode, it's very dumpy. It doesn't look like a properly scaled and proportioned, you know, sort of like, you know, cab over ambulance. It doesn't. It's very, very, very short and dumpy. And there's a lot of panel lines on this guy. You know, when you look at him, a lot of panel lines. Due to the way he transforms. The Magic Square one is a lot cleaner. It's a little bit bigger. It's got a lot more involved transformation than the Magic Square one. I mean, I admit I had a bit of a mission trying to transform it first time. This thing is a lot easier to transform, but I do prefer the Magic Square one to this. Just me. But he's still a decent figure. He's still, you know, really good. I mean, it's New Age. We all know New Age do really good stuff. I've got a bunch of New Age figures, and this one's no exception. He's pretty neat. It's got a nice pearlescent paint on him. You know, it's nicely painted. Like I said, it's decently articulated. You know, it's got an ab crunch and stuff. You know, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's a decent, you know, legend scale Ratchet. What more could you want? But yeah, so I got him. And that was nearly it. I didn't have an awful lot of money left. So I was looking around for something else to buy. And then wandered over to Ben's Collectables tables later on in the afternoon. And there was a figure on his stall that I'd seen earlier in the day that he was selling for 50 quid. And then towards the end of the event, he'd marked it down to 40. And I was looking at it and thinking, you know what? I think I'll go for that, because I was half interested in getting this thing. So I got this. Transform and roll out TR01 Agent Meister, or Hover, as it's also called. Right, now, I paid 40 quid for this. It was loose, came with all the accessories and the instructions, no box. Got it from Ben of Ben's Collectables. And this is another one of those figures that I have bought off another Transformers YouTuber. So this used to belong to Ben of Ben's Collectables. He had this in his collection as his sort of, well, one of his sort of, you know, sort of masterpiece jazz homages. I think he's got the Fans Toys one now. Yeah. So he decided to pass this on. I believe this is the same toy he used in the review he did of this back in the day. And like I said, it's another one of them figures that I now own that used to belong to, you know, prominent or well-known YouTubers. And I've been thinking about, you know, what other figures have I got in my collection that I can, you know, claim this for. And I got a little list here. Obviously, he's up on the shelf there. I got the Kingdom KD05 Browning M1910. That's the KO Browning, which I've got off Graham the Collector 75. In the 12 back here, got the War for Cybertron Deluxe Optimus Prime that I got off John Garringer. I've also got behind me, I've got the Takara War for Cybertron Deluxe Megatron I got from Matthew Grant, the toy therapist. Obviously, just got this guy from Ben of Ben's Collectables. Got a couple of figures from Gary Churm, Hot Rodney Prime. I got him a Prime Deluxe RC at TF Nation last year, and then a few years before, he gifted me a Turning Met Card Prince Kong. Mr. Zort Rider, I got a few bits from Mr. Zort Rider. He sorted me out a Minicon for my my Energon Unicron, Minicon Dead End. And also I bought a Mech Fans Toys Hercules off him, which is the upscaled Iron Factory Devastator KO. And then Takara Universe Senator Ratbat from Mr. Vigadeath, because I said him on. I got the Mastermind Creations Senator Rat Bat, and I said I would be interested in getting hold of the the Universe one, and Bigger Def contacted me and said, yeah, I'll sell you one, and I managed to get that off him. And also Mr. Martin Cull. I don't think he's a prominent YouTuber, but he is a member of the, as far as I'm aware, he's a fairly prominent member of the Transformers YouTube community. And down here I've got his old Takara MP10B Nemesis Prime. So yeah, so I've got a few figures that I've got from other, well-known, notable, famous YouTubers, and this is just one of them. This figure otherwise, I mean, I have been thinking about getting this figure in the past, but I sort of passed on it, and now I've got it. I've got the Make Toys, I've got a version of the Make Toys mould, and I've got the Toy World Masterpiece Jazz. And this one, it's all right. It's okay. Again, this is another figure that when I first tried to transform it, it wasn't a lot of fun, to be honest. Again, when I used the instructions the second time round, it was a bit better. But in alt mode, the arm pieces have these pegs that stick down, so the front wheels don't touch the ground. Difficult to get him to roll in alt mode because there's bits sticking down underneath. The build quality and the this thing's made of, it isn't primo third-party quality. The designs and the engineering and the materials they've used on it aren't, what you'd call high-end third-party stuff. It's not a bad figure. I don't regret buying it, but I'm not as impressed with it as I probably might have been. So I don't like it quite as much as I probably should do. But it's all right. It's okay. I've got 3 Masterpiece Jazzes now. So well, one of them isn't a Masterpiece, isn't Jazz. It's what's it called? Ricochet. Yeah, it's Ricochet colours. So managed to get that off Mr. Ben and Ben's Collectables, and that was all the bits that I got at the TFUK Con UK. Not a lot to show for what I bought at that convention, to be honest. But anyway, it was a thing. I went there and saw a few people. Nice to go to a mini convention. You should support your mini conventions if you can. It's always good to go to the smaller conventions outside of the big national convention, and I like to, if I get the chance, to go to the smaller conventions if at all possible. And that was just one of those. Right, so moving along. A couple of days later, the 15th, my next Korean purchase arrived. Hello Carbot Mini Sky Gunner. Now, I did a review on this the other day. He turns into a jet that looks like like a futuristic, A10 tank buster. He's got lots of guns. He's got one on his back, and he's got 2 pistols there. Now, I haven't got the big figure of this. This is a character that came out for the Hello Carbot Save the Moon movie. One of a handful of characters, the new characters that came out for that, along with Sonar Diver, who I have got the big one for, and I did review last month. I got the mini Sonar Diver last month, and I showed you the big one with it. Haven't got the big one for this. The big Sky Gunner he's rare as hen's teeth. He's scalper bait, big style. I haven't seen one on sale for ages. I don't think Hello Carbot are going to reissue this mould. They haven't reissued it yet, as far as I'm aware. But I know the original one sold out very quickly, and it's very much a scalper target. I'm not a fan of this thing, to be honest. I mean, to start off with, he's got a loose foot. I'm also getting stress marks on these ball joints on the shoulders just by transforming it a couple of times. Don't really like the lanky aesthetic that he's got going on either. I'm not a fan of this. I mean, the way his arms work, they go out to the side. I mean, you can put his hands on his hips, but he can't, sort of bend his elbow forward, so to speak, because they don't work that way due to the transformation joint. But then again, it's a Hello Carbot mini. It's basically a Legend or a Legion class Hello Carbot figure. I'm not really feeling this, but I bought it off an eBay seller for about 20 odd quid. that's about as cheap as I can get these things. I know you can buy these things a lot cheaper in Korea, but it's just the shipping. You know, you try buying something this size off a seller in Korea on G Market 11th Street, they'll say that the shipping, the weight is 1.5 or 1.2 kilos, and so you'll end up paying like 25-30 pound in postage just to get it from the other side of the world, and it's absolute bollocks. It is. They skin you alive for the shipping on these things. So there are eBay sellers that are selling them for 20 something quid, which is palatable, only just. And I will be getting 2 more next month because of this, you know, this money, this payment, this £66 payment I've got to make next month or in a couple of days' time for my for the Nemesis payment. You know, my free and one pay and free payment, shall we say? I'm looking to economise next month, and so I'll be buying 2 minifigures next month, you know, just to keep the money down. But yeah, so I managed to get hold of him. He's not that good, to be honest. And then that's that. And then it was like I had a bit of money left, but not a lot. And I was looking at the bots I had already, and it's like, I haven't got a lot to show for this haul. I really need to buy something to sort of, you know, bring up the plastic count somewhat. And so I was looking around, and obviously, you know, Rise of the Beasts, the new Transformers movie, is just around the corner. The toy lines are starting to hit retail. You've got the Studio Series coming out, and then you've got the main line coming out, and you're getting all the gimmick toys that are appearing at the supermarkets and stuff. So I was looking around. Is there any, you know, cheap and cheerful sort of sort of Rise of the Beast figures that I want to get? And sure enough, there was. So I went to my local entertainer on the 17th, which was a Wednesday, and I managed to get hold of this guy. So Skullcruncher. Beast Alliance Battlemaster Skullcruncher. Now, Skullcruncher is one of the characters I like to do character mold set collect for. And yes, this is Skullcruncher, but he doesn't transform into a robot. So technically he doesn't really count towards my character mold set collecting of Skullcruncher. But I decided to get him anyway. And I am going to get that, you know, that armor set that goes on to Optimus Primal with Skullcruncher. I'm going to get that as well next month sometime. But anyway, so you flip that round, you flip that over, plug it in, fold away the legs, and there you have a gun, which Megatron can hold. So yeah, it's 5mm compatible. Turns into a nice, a nice chunky blaster. That's pretty cool. That's all right. And then he turns back into a crocodile. And he does have an opening jaw. So yeah, that's all right. That's okay. He's all right. And then also on the same place, same day, same time, I got hold of the Rise of the Beast Alliance Battlemaster Rhinox. Now he forms a nice looking rhino, or robotic rhino, looks pretty cool. But this guy, you pull open his backside and you flip those forward and you fold up the legs. And then flip out the peg, and there you've got an ass blaster. Yeah, and it's good that he's got a Gatling gun, because you know we all know Rhinox is, you know, from the the original Beast Wars show, he had those handheld Gatling blasters that he used to use. So it's very appropriate that Rhinox, Battlemaster Rhinox, should turn into a Gatling gun. And again, there you go. Megatron can hold him. So yeah, he's again 5mm compatible, and then you just fold it away, Straighten out the legs. And there you go. Little rhino dude. So yeah, I decided to buy these guys. They were the only two left that they had in my local entertainer, was these two, and these are the two that I wanted out of the Battle Master series that they're doing. So yeah, I got hold of these two guys, but they don't transform into robots, so they just turn into guns. So I bought those, and they were the last plastic items I got this month. But there's still a few comic bits just to finish this haul off, which we roll forward to the next day on the 18th. Now, you know, I said earlier in the month when I got these comics, but I was missing issue 134. Well, I was scanning on eBay and I found a seller who was selling issue 134 on its own, and it was on an auction. I managed to buy it for the starting bid, so I got it reasonably cheap. And there we go, I got issue 134, and this now completes my 130 series comics. So with that, I finished or completed the 130 series. So that goes with these, and that will finish off the 130 series. So that's great. And then I had a bit of money left over, so I went on eBay, went onto Susanna Carter's eBay account, looked at seeing what comics she had, and I made a purchase of 2 more comics, and they arrived on the 23rd. So just to finish this haul off this month, I managed to get issue number 7. Obviously, I only need issue number 2 from the first 9 now. I need an issue number 2, but that's going to be a really difficult one to get hold of. I have passed on a couple of tatty issue 2s in the past, and I really regretted that. The only issue 2s I've seen come up since are the really tidy, you know, the mint tidy ones that people are asking ridiculous sums of money, like £2,000 for, you know, and it's like, I ain't paying that. But yeah, got hold of issue number 7. And this next one, issue 22. Now, this cover is iconic. Out of all the Marvel G1 comic covers, this is right up there as one of the best, most iconic covers that they ever did on the Marvel G1 comics. It was a reprint of the American cover, but it just looks so much better on the UK cover because of all the nice colour printing. This issue tends to go for a little bit more money than the others because of all this, because it's, you know, Shockwave are all dead, you know, cover, and yeah, so it's not in perfect condition. It's got a bit of you know, chafing down the spine. Pages are yellowed. It's got a bit of a page turning crease in the corner, but apart from that, it's in okay condition. And I got it for a reasonable price. Like I said, this is one of the issues I was concerned that I'd have to pay over the odds for, but actually I managed to get it for a half decent price, and it's another comic in the 20 series which I desperately need. So that is that. That is my haul. As you can see, it isn't all that. It's like, what is it, 11 comics? And 6 bots that transform into robots and 2 that don't. You know, and I'd hoped that I would have got better stuff this month, but as it happens, you know, I'm a little tad disappointed in my haul this month. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, you know, you know, you've got a Masterpiece Jazz, and it's like, yeah, but you know, he's not that great, to be honest. So my Korean figures weren't up to much this month, and you know, it's just one of those. You know, sometimes you get months which are just so mediocre and just nothing special, and this was just one of those months. So anyway, let's finish this thing off. First and worst. The worst. There's a couple of bots that could have qualified for the worst, but I think the one I've chosen is fairly obvious. The first bot wasn't so clear cut. Out of all the other things I got, nothing really stood out as being, in my opinion, like so much more likable than the rest. And I've sort of narrowed it down to sort of like, you know, sort of character and you know, and stuff like that. So even though my first bot is still a decent bot, you know, it's not necessarily my first choice, but I think given the company that made it and the character that it is, you know, it is pretty good. Otherwise, it's just, you know, there's a few little things on it I'm not a fan of. But anyway, let's get into this. First and worst. So worst, yeah. Like I said, the QC issue, the stress marks on the ball joints on the shoulders, don't care much for the aesthetic. The articulation's not that great on it. I know it's a minifigure and then they're not that well articulated, but yeah, I'm not a fan of this guy. I'm not a fan of this character. I just decided to buy it because, you know, I just wanted a version of the toy. I wanted him to go with my Sonar Diver. So then I've got both the new characters that came out for that movie. So I got him, but yeah, he's not that great. Newage Medic. Like I said, I prefer the Magic Square one to this. But as regards to the haul I got this month, this figure probably is the best or the most likeable thing that I got. It's got a lot going for it. It's a character that I like. It's from a company that I like, you know, Newage. It's well painted. It's decently articulated. It's got a decent transformation. My only gripe is the alt mode. The aesthetic on the alt mode isn't all that, but it's still a decent figure in itself, and I don't regret buying it. Come with a butt ton of accessories, you know, he's decent enough, and I think he's the best of the lot that I got this month, and that's why I made him my first bot. So that's that. That's my haul for this month. Like I said, nothing special, nothing amazing, but it is what it is. Let's move on to June. And yeah, like I said, I've got this financial handicap going forward, you know, over the next 2 months with this £66, you know, pre-order, you know, paying free payment that I've got to make, which is going to reduce my budget going forwards for the next couple of months. But there is all this Rise of the Beast stuff, you know, flooding the market now. I'm looking to buy into it a bit more so, and I'm going to have to be a bit savvy and you know, sort of keep costs down wherever possible. Like I said, I'll be buying, you know, sort of 2 mini Carbot figures next month to my Korean purchases, just to, you know, just to keep those costs down. And so yeah, I just gotta be a bit more savvy next month to hopefully end up with a slightly better haul than what I got this month. So with that said, I've been TFUK Wellness. Hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll catch you all next time. Goodbye.